What's good, ladies and gentlemen? This is Uncoated Sugar TV, hosted by Trenton Lamar.
AV Show is in the building.
Sports analysis, rap, hip-hop culture, current events. Let's get it.
It's a podcast Thursday.
Is it Podcast Thursday?
There's a lot going on in the United States of America.
There's a lot going on, such as Kanye drama,
Well,
Kevin Gates, LeBron drama.
There always seems to be Kanye drama.
Right. So I don't know where we want to start this off, but we might. I did watch that Sinners movie on Saturday. To those out there, Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler.
Can you believe that happened?
That what happened?
We walked inside of a movie theater.
Yeah.
And watched the whole movie.
Right.
All the way. Well,
you know what's funny about the situation is he brought a significant other. It was one of those sit down where you can eat type of movies. And I was like, hey, that was kind of cool how like I actually didn't fall asleep the entire movie, because most of the time when I go out to movies, I probably mentioned this on another show, I always fall asleep. I can't seem to stay up. But yeah, you had this dude had asked me, hey, you want to walk out? Because it started off a little slow.
It did. It seemed like the first maybe like 30, half hour, 45. It started off
Hallmark
a little
type
like,
stuff.
It started off a little bit slow. But
did.
then it kind of like picked up roller coaster from then on.
Right.
So, obviously we watched the movie. Starring Michael B. Jordan, directed by Ryan Coogler. The guys behind
Black Panther.
Black Panther 2.
Yup.
Is there Black
Creed,
Panther
I
3?
believe.
Is there a third Black Panther?
I believe they started making one, but I'm not sure exactly on.
So
it hasn't
the
came out or nothing.
Wakanda boys are back at it, obviously.
The Wakanda boys.
So
Wakanda men right now.
just right off the tip, just if you had to give it a score out of 10, what would you give it?
I don't want anybody to get mad, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this: if it was a mad test, it definitely was a passing grade. I thought the movie was great. So it's hard for me to say I want to give a great movie a B+. There were some things I was iffy about. I'm gonna give it in that 89. It's above a B. I don't know if it's an A+ though, but it's in that stratosphere. Is that acceptable enough as an answer?
Yeah, you're giving it a favorable score.
It's favorable.
Yeah, favorable.
It's favorable. Now I want to go ahead and say that let me get back to the dude that asked me, he was like, you want to walk out? I was like, it's going to pick up. I knew it was going to pick up. I'm going to be honest, though. The first 30 minutes, I fell asleep like 20 of the minutes. So I missed at least 20 to 25 minutes. Then right when I woke, I was like, I know this is going to pick up. It's dragging. So I watched about, of the, how long was the movie? Do you think? Like 2 hours?
It was a solid 2-hour movie.
Yeah, it was a 2 hour.
2 hour, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes. I missed about probably 25. I'm not even going to lie. Because it started off really slow. But like right before it took off, I saw the last hour and a half easy. Like hour and a half to 45, I missed probably 25 minutes. I'm not going to lie about that. But like I knew it was going to pick up. So I was like, I'm glad I didn't walk out. Because I was like, based on the previews, this is going to pick up. And it picked up. It was kind of like two movies in one. But like, yeah, any thoughts? What's your score on it?
My score, I'll give it like a 6 out of 10. But that's still good. That's like favorable.
That's favorable.
Like that's not a. You can watch that all the way through.
We don't want to jump on the bandwagon because Rotten Tomatoes had it before I was watching at what 97, 98%. And you this.
Well, like the an audience and critic score was like in the high 90s.
It was.
For me, I don't know if it's
hype
that good.
Right.
Because it was there were definitely a lot of things I liked about it. But there's also a lot of things I just thought like it was just kind of another, like a lot of tropes, it was just, good guys versus bad guys, survival, action sequences, explosions.
So I'm on this RottenTomatoes.com. It's saying 98% tomato meter, 97% popcorn meter. Just throw that out there. So yeah, watched the movie Saturday night. I thought the movie was flames. I thought it was flames. One of the characters that's who stood out? Any characters that stood out? I didn't want to go right into this, but
that was a good question. I don't know. I don't know if one like specific character really stood out to me, but like maybe like the kind of like experience of the film is what stood out. Because that was a real like black movie.
It definitely was.
Like that was like a black exploitation film. Like that's where
I don't want to go black exploitation, but yeah,
they drew. That's where they got a lot of
inspiration
from. Like
right.
your Blackula's and all that, like
right,
Black Dynamite and like
right.
that. Like they pulled a lot of shit from that. Right. You know, they watched all those movies before they made this one.
I would agree on that. One thing that I want to say is, and this has been touched on, if it felt like a film within a film. I didn't even want to talk about this right away, but we jumped into that. That's fine. It was kind of like a movie within a movie, and I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting how, obviously, Michael B. Jordan, he played both Stacks and he played both Smoke, and I thought that the dichotomy between those two characters was absolutely amazing, honestly. You know what I mean? Because I felt like different personalities played by the same person, but it kind of brought out their character development. I thought in for this to be like one movie, not from any like previous endeavors, respectively, was amazing how they brought out both of the characters, and it made me actually think Michael B. Jordan might have had a twin. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, almost makes you think he really had a twin because they seem like different human beings. And most folks who grew up, like, so I knew some twins in certain schools I went to. They were like similar. They looked alike, but they had different personalities. Same with this. You know what I mean? Like these folks kind of looked alike. They had different personalities.
What was your favorite scene?
I don't know.
Maybe not favorite, but what was the scene that stood out to you the most?
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know about a favorite scene yet. One of the scenes that stood out was I would say when the dude, and I should know this dude's name. He played on a whole bunch of movies. Played on Get Rich or Die Trying. Played on The Express. The black dude.
Jeez, which one?
That plays on.
Was it
let me get this dude's name.
The old head or the?
I should already know this dude's name.
Not the old head. Cornbread.
Not the OG.
The
it was the young. Yeah,
the bouncer.
He played on a whole bunch of movies.
I know. Yeah. No. He's been on. Yeah. I know.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
He's everywhere, but we don't even.
My fault for not knowing this dude's
He's
name.
everywhere.
He's one of those guys who's like an OG, but nobody knows. Nobody really knows who he is.
He's everywhere, but no one.
And I feel guilty.
I know
about
exactly.
That.
He's almost like he's the big.
There's
dude.
a lot of guys like that. The big guy.
Yeah.
He Let me go ahead and I don't know why mine is getting this.
There's like a clip every now and then.
This mic is tripping right now, but we're gonna get through that. And I hate to be looking this up right away. But nonetheless, I felt like a change and shift was when he had walked out to take a take a number one. We gonna keep it clean, right? And I knew that was kind of like a change in events because I'm like, he's about to get big.
So
ain't no question.
So like I don't know, like one part of the movie that was interesting to me was when the vampires initially came to find them. Okay. They said like the music is what
Omar Benson Miller. I know something like that.
The music is what was drawing them. Like we could say like the vampires, the white folks, whatever, the people that initially came, the antagonists,
yes,
kind of like the demonic figures.
Okay.
They were initially drawn to what was the blues music.
Right.
And that's what attracted them.
Yes, that's what mention that.
But you also know what it like. Do you remember the scene where like they were kind of doing the concert scene, and it kind of like transitioned from like the blues to like the guitar player, then like the hip hop DJ.
That was the biggest. That's what I was gonna mention.
So it's almost like it's saying like in a way like
I was gonna mention that
like demonic forces are attracted to this thing, or
right,
whatever that means.
Right.
But I'm just saying that's what stuck out.
I was gonna mention that too. When the young the guitar dude that I forgot the name of, you remember his name?
Yeah.
That one of the first songs he played was my favorite song in the movie. I was gonna mention that.
The son of the preacher.
The son of the preacher. Like whatever guitar song he played in the little juke club or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, that was hitting.
So
that was hitting.
So,
and I knew like the movie kind of took off to a different wavelength after that.
And notice at the beginning we had the pastor
right
in church doing his pastor thing.
Right.
everybody that went to the club
Right.
was
Like died or like.
well,
Right.
they were all.
We don't want to give the movie out.
Let me.
There's folks that haven't seen the movie.
We'll
I
give a
apologize.
spoiler
No
alert.
spoiler. A
But
little
they were
spoiler.
all of them. All of
Right.
them were idolaters.
Okay.
Like whether it was like the.
Also, we want to get into that conversation. Go ahead.
Well, that's kind of like, I think that's kind of maybe part of like a piece of the puzzle of the movie.
Absolutely.
It's called Sinners.
Right.
Michael B. Jordan's character was wearing that thing on, what he was wearing the necklace.
Yeah.
The witchcraft, like one of the brothers who was getting with the witchcraft lady who was doing some kind of like juju thing.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like she was the one that actually told them to like kill. She knew about the vampires.
Right. Right.
But they were all kind of like, they all were like idolaters. Like none of them were.
Give me an example.
All of them. Like.
Give me two. Yeah, putting you on the spot.
So. Okay, obviously we had the music player.
Okay.
Who was
the pastor?
Who's not going? The pastor's son, who's not going to church.
Yep.
Both of Michael B. Jordan brothers were did no crosses anywhere.
Okay.
They had their.
Are you saying they're secular?
Yeah, they're secular.
Okay.
All of them are secular.
Okay.
And we could even say like the old head who was just alcoholic.
Right. The OG that plays.
I feel like that the white lady, she was the only one wearing a cross in the
Delta
whole.
Slim. Go ahead.
The only one representing a cross was a white lady.
Well, first of all, that cross issue was a big thing. A lot of folks say it's disrespectful to wear. Back in the day, folks would wear rosaries as fashion statements. Yeah. You see them in award shows and whatnot. And weren't even really religious folks.
You know what they say.
Yeah, so I'm not, my stance on that is obviously that's a controversial thing. Just because you don't wear crosses doesn't make you not religious. And sometimes most folks who wear those crosses are not even really religious. Yeah. So I'm throwing that out there.
And you know what they say.
What do they say?
The devil often lurks behind the cross.
Okay. That's an interesting statement. So, and I wanted to ask a question.
Go.
Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. The question is, are they the new Spike and Denzel? That's what the question is. And I'm not laughing at all. I'm just more or less saying.
Did you come up with that? Or
I didn't come up with that. Okay. There's folks online and YouTube and reviews talking. And I think that question was actually asked on to Spike himself, maybe. Because I know on Carmelo Anthony's podcast, they were talking about it a little bit. If I'm wrong, forgive me, but I think that question was brought up. What's your stance on that?
I don't know if they're the new Spike and Denzel, but maybe the first Coogler
Ryan and Mike.
Ryan and Mike.
Or Ryan and Michael B. Jordan, whatever. Right. Michael. There's a lot more we got to get into revolving this movie. I could do a whole 45 minutes on this movie because I want to go in depth about it, but we just going to skim over some things right now. So this might only be 20-minute take. Who knows? But I wanted to talk more about it. I want to see the movie a second time. I haven't seen it a second time. I'm not in the theater, so I'm going to wait till it chills out a little bit. Because with me, with good movies, I like to give them a second watch because there's always things you miss the first time you watch a movie. So like there's things I missed that stood out as far as the plot is concerned, and I know that I'm not fully gonna touch on everything since I only gave it one watch. I got another question about the timing of the movie. Obviously, we know Easter Sunday was last week. This week, right? Sunday's the start of the week, so it was like really this week, a few days ago.
4 days ago.
And the question is, so we saw Sinners the Saturday night right before Easter Sunday. Obviously, the movie being called Sinners. There's a lot of folks who find it.
It did come out. When did it come out? That Friday, didn't it?
It came out like right around Easter, right before Easter. Like,
so it came out.
Sinners. So I'm like, was it deliberately put out during this time?
I didn't even think about that.
Well, yeah, that's the question. I'm trying to find the exact release date, April 18, 2025. So, when's the 18th?
April 18th. So that would have been
April 18th.
It would have been the Thursday.
Would have been Friday.
So we
saw it the day Easter, after it came out. So Friday, last Friday.
So what?
We saw it on the 19th, Saturday 19th. Easter was 20th.
it was released on Good Friday. What it?
Yeah, it was released on.
I mean, I don't want to go into the whole Easter conversation that crazy, but like,
right.
what is Easter?
Supposed to be the resurrection, celebrating the resurrection of Christ.
But with, like Easter,
Right.
Easter Bunny and all that, it's like, what's going on?
Right. Now we're entering into a whole nother conversation.
It's a whole nother conversation. I don't think we were going to go into all that,
Right.
and we're not going to.
We're not.
We'll save that can of worms for another day.
And I wrote some notes on this that I didn't even read, because I don't read everything word for word. I'm like, I was impressed with the character development of a few of the characters, considering that the story highlighted the guitar, young man, and smoke as the main acts. Do you feel that they were the main acts? The guitar guy, in which I'm not. I don't even remember his name, which is crazy. I should be mentioning.
What was the symbolism of the
Sammy.
what was the symbolism of the guitar to you?
Well, music was a big thing in black culture.
What did that guitar represent?
That's a great question. I feel like the guitar kind of represents.
A big symbol.
I'm gonna say this. I read a book, and I'm not gonna say which book it is because I totally forgot. Back in the day, and this is random, but it was. I read this book in middle school. I think it was New Boy. Was it New Boy or? I think it was literally New Boy. Let me forgive me for looking all this up all the time, but this is like I didn't even write this down. This ain't no notes right now. This is just me reflecting on back in the day. Like the black church used to refer to jazz music as the devil's music,
right?
And I know a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So now I'm hitting on something.
Yeah.
Things usually come to me. I was reading this book. I believe it was called New Boy. I'm not sure, but I read the book in like 8th grade or something. It was talking about how there was a young man. He was interested in Yeah, it was New Boy. It was New Boy, I believe.
Yeah.
And it might not be New Boy. I'm guessing 100% that it was New Boy by Julian Houston. Let me just go ahead and I might have to give that another touch because it's been a long time.
But okay.
But the gist of it, one of these books I read, which I believe it was that one, it mentioned how, like, in the early, what was it, the 30s, 40s, like it was, before post-slavery, obviously, but way before civil rights era, kind of like, a little before that.
Yeah.
It was saying how the black church kind of considered jazz music to be the devil's music. And notice how his father in the film was kind of saying how he was a heathen and are you going to put the guitar down and you should be in church with us. So that whole dichotomy between that was something that definitely reflected on the introspections and the perspectives of that time period.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
So
So
and we think
I'm missing some things, but
like
kind of like hip hop right now.
The roots of what your hip hop is. That's what it was 100 years ago. Was the jazz sort of thing.
I would agree on that. I could mess with that. But I feel like that was an interesting thing. How music in general captures time periods. Music is a prominent thing in my mind in regards to popular culture and in regards to what it means as far as highlighting certain eras. And so I felt like music was a big thing in this film. It wasn't a musical though, but it was like music was a big part of the theme. And so once again, we're gonna touch on that later on.
Biggest themes we noticed, obviously.
But when you started playing that song, you noticed how like the roof blew up, but it didn't really blow up.
At the fire,
Yeah. So I thought that was tight.
Yeah. Symbolism. Obviously, like Christianity, blues music.
Right.
Racism.
Right.
With the KKK.
Right.
Right.
So I had a question.
There's a lot to dig into.
Did you have a favorite character?
I liked Michael B. Jordan's characters. I thought they were cool.
You said character. Which one? Which one was better? Which one did you like the best? Because we were about to hit.
I had a pretty hard time differentiating which one. They weren't that much different to me. Like like it just seemed like they were suave gangsters, just cool. Everything they do is just cool.
And I felt like it was interesting. A lot of folks are talking about how this movie is a new genre. It's not really traditional horror, right? It's kind of like a horror thriller sub genre type stuff. Like I felt like it was very exciting. I don't even like scary movies. Like I don't like scary movies. I'm not big on that. I like usually historical um fiction. I like action movies every now and then. You know, I like kind of like basketball related movies, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like I'm not big on horror. But I thought that this was gonna be a fun
It didn't.
watch.
It
was
didn't.
kinda like a
It
thriller.
didn't feel like to me like it was more.
What did the vampires represent? Or has that already been
I
touched
think
on?
they represented the devil,
Okay.
demonic entity.
Okay.
What else do they represent? I don't know.
Hopefully I'm not pronouncing this young woman's name wrong, but I noticed that because any female characters that stood out to you, or like, do you have a favorite female character?
No thoughts really
Right.
like came to me.
Right.
Why do you think? Why do you think they specifically chose the white woman?
Well,
Why did
allegedly
they
she's
choose
mixed
her?
in real life. Did you know that?
Well,
She has a percentage of black ancestry in real life. So like
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Well,
how
that-
that dichotomy
yeah.
was there.
Well, she said that
And
in
she's
the-
getting controversy on that. I'm not gonna speak on that because I
Yeah.
don't really know too much.
but like why do you
But she's talking about that.
like you know every character they put in there for a reason.
Right.
Like the writers
They wanted to capture what
chose
they
them.
wanted to capture. Right. I feel like I was gonna mention this person. Hopefully I'm not saying her name wrong. I think Jamie Lawson. Is it Jamie Lawson? You know what I mean? The one who was kind of like Sammy's, interest in that. You know, the black girl who.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
lady who was supposedly married.
Hopefully I'm not missing. But I feel like she played on. I don't know if we're talking about the same. She played on the Batman, with the Zoe Kravitz one, Robert Pattinson one. She was like the mayor or something like that. But I was like, I feel like her, like I feel like she's hitting on some things. Like I feel like she's getting better as an actor. And I wanted to highlight that she's kind of like
Yeah.
around her age, or excuse me, she's around our age. Like she's like I think 27 in real life. So I feel like that's cool to see her development and like what future movies she plays on. Because I haven't seen a few of them, but I wanted to shout her character out. I think she actually stood out for some reason. Like so,
Yeah.
I'm just saying she stood out. To me,
Yeah,
she
I
stood
mean,
out.
yeah, I definitely like. The movie was still it had its like Marvel kind of corniness
Okay.
to it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
It does have its like Marvel like, but at the same time it also had its real. It had themes of stuff that you can't stuff you have to stuff you can that lingers.
I was gonna say that it's very interesting how the director, Ryan Coogler, how like he would make Black Panther, Creed, and make something like this. Because those three movies in my mind are in different hemispheres. Now I'm not stating your opinion because I agree with some of what you're saying, but I would have never thought, like from the outside looking in, that Black Panther and Sinners was directed by the same individual. I would have thought it was completely different.
There's range.
Right,
He doesn't just
it
make
shows
he
you
doesn't
his
just make
range
the
is-
same
is
old
heavy.
the same old stuff.
Right. And so I thought that this film's atmosphere was a much different than Black Panther's film's atmosphere. It
Yeah.
didn't, and like you said, it might have had some of that Disney Channel gist to it, but I feel like in my mind, this was more like Black Panther isn't a rated R film. This is a rated R film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's kind
I
of
agree.
like,
I agree.
and Creed was kind of like what, PG-13. So Creed is
Yeah.
kind of like young, teenage. Creed is child friendly kind of. I wouldn't necessarily say this is child friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
Black
you
Panther
need
was
to
big with
be-
children.
Yeah.
A lot of folks like Creed too.
Yeah.
I feel like
You wouldn't let your 12-year-old
watch Sinners probably.
probably not.
Nah, not by themselves, obviously. Like,
Right.
Just I feel like Black Panther was more like the children. Black Panther action figure type. Creed was kind of
Yeah.
like teenager, 14, 15, 16. Type. And I feel like this one's kind of like something that teenagers and like young adults kind of could rock with too. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the range is great. in my mind, because most folks who make films kind of have the same kind of range. Obviously, he wasn't the producer on every one of them, but like as a writer and director on all three of them, the range in my mind is excellent. You know what I mean? It's fire. So I think the film was good. I spoke on kind of what I wanted to speak on because we don't want to make the whole podcast film. Shout out to Sinners. Shout out to all the actors that played on it. And what did I want to mention? I wanted to mention something about Carmelo Anthony and Spike Lee were on a podcast, and I think Spike was asked a question about whether or not the question about Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan being the new Denzel and Spike. I had to throw that out there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the audiences are gonna ask that question, so I'm being a little facetious. But yeah, I thought that
Did you watch?
movie was dope.
So, obviously I know Denzel and Spike made the Malcolm X film.
Right.
What other films have they made?
Hold up.
They have made He Got Game. Have you seen it? He Got Game?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
we've all
I haven't seen
that.
any
That's
of these.
the OG.
I haven't seen any of these Inside Man.
I saw Inside Man.
You saw Inside Man?
I did.
What would you think?
Inside Man was the OG Mank movie. It was cool. Or no, hold on. Inside Man or Inside? Hold on.
Inside
Let me make sure.
Did you see the Malcolm X?
Film. I did not.
That's a 3-hour 22. What are your thoughts on Malcolm X? You like Malcolm X overall?
That's a major question.
We're going into,
I saw Inside Man.
We're going into some I
definitely saw Inside Man. I was like, sometimes I'll be thinking it's called Inside Job. Yeah, Inside Man, I've seen that movie
yeah.
a bunch of times. But yeah. And He Got Game was where I was telling you about the Jesus Shuttlesworth. Remember, it was hooping. I was like, Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Oh, that's
Ray Allen plays Jesus Shuttlesworth on that movie. So yeah, FYI to the audience. But
So
what question?
So I was asking what you thought. It's going into some into a divisive territory.
Oh, my thoughts on Malcolm X.
You're gonna ask your thoughts on Malcolm X.
My thoughts on Malcolm X.
I know you have some thoughts.
I definitely have some thoughts on Malcolm X. My thoughts on Malcolm X. I don't know if I want to speak on that.
We
right
could
now.
save it for another.
We can
episode,
save it for later.
But
save it for later. Obviously, we know the between Elijah Muhammad and the
that's opening a whole big
other
can of worms with the NOI and all this. I don't want to
speak on that right now.
So that's fine. We can save it.
Good question though.
But it's a conversation that needs to be had.
We already 28 minutes in, so this is a lot of time. But
yeah,
let's
So how about we could put the bookmark on
that
movies.
Right now. Yeah.
Once again, shout out to Sinners.
Shout out to Sinners.
Michael B. Jordan.
Ryan Coogler. Michael B. Jordan.
I think Michael B. Jordan has.
Let me shout out to the character. Go ahead.
I like Michael B. Jordan.
He has some. I think Michael B. Jordan is cool as an actor. I feel like he's doing his thing. He's not just disappearing. Like the question. A lot of black male actors sometimes they come and go. So far he's hitting.
Yeah.
He was chilling for a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously we had Black Creed. Then Creed 3. Yeah, well obviously Creed 2, Creed 3, Black Panther. His character died on that though, right? But Killmonger's character was all right. My gripes on that. Then he's coming in with he's just killing it right now. He's not disappearing, which is a good thing. So
yeah,
he's killing right now. So let me give a shout out to the entire cast, and I wanted to shout out this dude too, the OG who played Slim. He also played one of the father on This Christmas.
I've definitely seen that. I've seen him around.
Yeah.
I can't exactly remember where, but
he plays on a whole bunch of stuff. Delroy Lindo, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. He played Delta Slim in this movie. That's the black man OG. He's been on a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody has seen his face on something. I think he did a great job in this. Once again, I think Jamie Lawson did a great job in this.
Who is the best black actor?
In general?
Just I don't know what comes.
And
to
I
mind.
and I liked Mary's character too. The Haley Steinfeld. I feel like you know the one who has black in her, whatever. Which there's some controversy from that. Whatever. I feel like she played dope in that film, and I feel like her character kind of like brought some needed energy as far as like the shift. You know, they didn't want to let her in the club, saying it's a black club, and you know, they didn't want to let her in. I thought that was an interesting point in the movie. And
what do you?
Let's move on from sentence right now. This taking way
Well,
too much.
let's move on. I was gonna ask a
Shout out to the
question.
actors
I was
in
gonna
that.
ask a question, but we'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right.
Let's get to this basketball.
All right. Let's talk some basketball.
Let's talk
NBA playoffs are underway.
Go ahead.
Where do we start? I want to ask you. I mean, obviously the Nuggets are tied right now.
Yes, sir. 1-1 against the LA Clips.
LA Clippers. Let me just get a. Let's go from series to series. Let's start with the Nuggets and Clippers. I think it's going to be a really close series.
I got Nuggets in 6.
It's been a real close series. I disagree with you.
You got the Clips.
My original prediction was Nuggets in 7.
After what we saw that other night, oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go ahead and
look, bro.
It's gonna be so close. I'm gonna give the edge
to the Nuggets,
probably to the Nuggets because they just have
more depth.
First of all, home court. Second of all, the best player in the series who hasn't been playing like that lately.
Everybody's saying Kawhi might be the best player, and I'm like, hey,
if whoever ends up
Nikola Jokic,
whoever has the best player in the series, which so far is probably going to win. So far, it probably still is Jokic, even though he hasn't been.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this to my young hoopers out there: hit your free throws. Hit your free throws. That's my gripe on that Nuggets game. Look, Jokic had I think at least 7 turnovers. That was unacceptable. Jokic is one of my favorite players, and I'm not just saying that because, you know, obviously us being kind of located in the Denver metropolitan area, if that even makes sense. Nikola Jokic is a great player, but they won game 1, and they play tonight actually, which is Thursday. So far, we're recording podcast Thursday. Game 3, April 24th, 2025. Game 2, Kawhi Leonard went ham. And I thought that is, I mentioned this, I think Charles Barkley spoke on this, a few individuals spoke on this. Kawhi Leonard is a straight up monster. He's a straight up monster. For a player who load manages, for a player who doesn't even play all that many games, who has his gripes, obviously he's a 2-time NBA champion. I think he's a 2-time DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year. He's a great defender as well as a great offensive talent.
Back to back.
Kawhi Leonard looked like he was the best player on the floor that last game that I saw. He looked like he was the best player on the floor. And obviously we know that Jokic and SGA in the MVP conversation. Kawhi Leonard played great. And again, my point is for a player who doesn't play that much, that is insane for him to be playing at that level. Because anyone who plays basketball, you got to stay in. Because there's always somebody who's going to take your spot. Even if you might be better, they can outwork you. And just that consistency is the main factor in sports in general. And so for Kawhi not to be as consistent as far as his availability, showing up, load management, so on and so forth, he played his behind off. And I got to go ahead and say that. James Harden, did James Harden have 32 points too?
James Harden was playing well. He's been very steadily good.
Let's throw that in there.
I'm going to go, I mean, we'll see what happens tonight, but my original prediction was Nuggets in 7. I'm starting to think Clippers in 7. Because
the Nuggets in 6.
The Nuggets are a little bit banged up now. I think something weird is just Clippers are going to be the Clippers and just something's going to happen. You know, Jokic is going to come out and be Jokic. I think it's going to be a 7-game series.
Okay.
And it's going to go down to like the last 2 minutes.
Okay. So James Harden, let me see, that last game had 18 points. He might have had 32 in the first game, whatever. He had 18 points. Kawhi Leonard had 39 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. And 15 for 19 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3-point range, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. So we had an excellent.
So where do you stack up Kawhi? Like
he's in that side. Kawhi is a top 75 player. Let me go ahead and announce that, since obviously he made that list. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is that what the question is?
I mean,
He's
I think
definitely Hall of
I think I
Famer.
maybe I asked someone this, but like, are you taking at peak of their powers, Kawhi or Jokic?
Wow. Usually it's the Kawhi or KD. I think that's the question that was posed
Well,
last
KD
time.
is often like heralded as like a top 15 player.
Right.
And if you're taking Kawhi over KD, then what does that make him?
This Jokic or Kawhi thing is insane. So far, Kawhi has 2 chips.
I mean, are they even comps? Like, they're not even
Are they
comparable. Like, Jokic is center. Kawhi is, what is he? Small forward.
Peak of their powers,
power
who are you
forward?
taking? I'm gonna go Kawhi Leonard right now. But that's ignoring the load management. That's ignoring the load management. If it's availability we're speaking on and who's present, I'm going Nikola Jokic all day. If it's just assuming Kawhi plays almost every game, I'm going Kawhi. That's my stance on that.
Okay.
And the reason why, even though I think Jokic is the better offensive player
What do you
overall,
think Kawhi's
Kawhi's a better defender.
Kawhi, here's
Kawhi's a better
two
defender.
comparable,
Go ahead.
same similar stature,
Go ahead.
position.
Luka
Kawhi
Doncic.
or Kobe.
Come on. Can't do that. I'm going to go Kobe on that.
Well, they're
I'm
like,
going to go Kobe on that. They're comparable, similar height, 6'6", 6'7".
yeah,
Like, wing
same
players.
position.
Yeah. I'm going Kobe
Similar
right now.
kind of similar
Rest in
play
peace,
style.
Black Mom. I'm
well, like
gonna go Kobe.
Kawhi,
Let's
I
move
don't
on. Let's
I don't
move on.
remember
New
Kawhi.
players.
Okay, let's move on. So that Nuggets Clippers series. All right, real quick, call your
Yeah.
shot on what's going to happen. You said Nuggets in 6.
I said Nuggets in 6.
So you think they're going to win 3 of the next 5 games?
I'm going to go Nuggets in 7, maybe. I got Nuggets winning. I think the Nuggets are going to beat the
All right,
Clippers.
that's fine.
All right.
Let's go on. Next series. We got this playing in the background. The Knicks and Pistons. They're tied. Looks like the Knicks are going to.
I wanted to speak on Celtics and Magic.
Okay.
And I wanted to speak on
What did you want to say?
Warriors and Rockets. Derek White went off. That last game I saw, was it game 2? I got to get these games right, so I can't keep looking this up. Game 2, I believe, Derek White had 30 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. And I really felt that they blew. Yeah, I got Celtics in 5. I got Celtics in 5.
He had 40?
He had 30.
30.
He had 30. Did I say 40? No, he had 30. He had 30. And they blew, was it 109 to, hold on. Celtics Magic, game 2. I'm going to go ahead and,
It was 109 to 100.
yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and shout out, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, Paolo Banchero. I'm watching him, 36 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Paolo Banchero's game reminds me of like a Melo mixed with somebody around that same height. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't move exactly like Melo, but he has a post game. He has a 15-footer. Like, nobody his size plays exactly like that. You know what I mean? Like, Paolo, I'm definitely watching Paolo. I think he's one of the future stars in the league, and I really feel that he's not mentioned enough. We always mention, Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, those guys. Paolo's really talent-wise, right up in there.
We all know who the number 1 new star is.
Anthony Edwards?
All right.
Who?
Doncic or Edwards?
I'm going Doncic on that right now.
Doncic or Jason Tatum?
I'm going Doncic.
Doncic or Wembanyama?
I'm going Doncic right now.
Doncic or...
So, was that your point?
Booker.
I'm going Doncic.
That's
You know
my
the jokes
point.
between Booker and Doncic?
That's my point.
Look, Paolo
Doncic.
Banchero, 24 through 25 regular season stats. 25.9 points, almost 26, right? 7.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists on 45% from the field, which is not all that shabby. 45% from the field, it's not quite 50, right? But it's not the AI Kobe type stuff.
Here's one. Doncic or Shai Gilgeous?
I'm going to go SGA right now. Yeah, SGA takes him right now.
Right now.
Last year, I'd have probably told you Doncic. Right now, I'm going SGA. So that's,
right.
Yeah. I can't do that.
Fair.
That's fair. But
right.
once again, Paolo Banchero, I'm watching Paolo. I think he's coming up. let me go ahead and mention. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Every time I watch the Celtics, Jason Tatum underperforms. And for him to kind of be the franchise talent,
Face of the team.
yeah.
One of the faces of
Derek
the league.
White always plays better than him every game that I watch.
Jaylen Brown
whether it
seems
comes
like-
on
it seems like
Max,
Jaylen-
whether it comes on, TNT Max, every game I watch, Jason Tatum gets outplayed by one of his teammates. Talk on that. Speak on
Well,
that.
Jason Tatum, first of all, is not even the best player on his team.
Who's the best player?
It's Jaylen Brown.
All right. I can take that.
Jaylen Brown's better defender.
This is
He's more
Tatum,
of an
Tatum,
efficient
this is
player.
Just, he did have 14 rebounds that last game, which is great, but he didn't play all that well offensively. But keep going, whatever you're saying. Trying to pull up these stats, which I should have had written down. Once again,
the Celtics are going to win that series, obviously, even
Obviously.
if one of their best players gets injured.
obviously,
Um,
Paulo had 36 points. Franz Wagner had 23 points for the Magic. Let's go Celtics. Obviously, Derek White had 30 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. Or no, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Next in line, Peyton Pritchard. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name right. 19 points. Jaylen Brown has 16. Jason Tatum has 17. He did have 14 rebounds, which I had previously mentioned, which is impressive. But once again, it seems to me like every time I watch him, one of his teammates outplays him.
yeah,
He did have a positive 23 plus minus,
that's good.
which was the highest plus minus on his squad.
All right, so we
But I
know
feel like he got outplayed.
we know the Celtics are going to win that series. Let's talk a
going
little
Celtics.
bit about one of the closest
Warriors and
series.
Rockets?
That's going to be interesting.
Warriors and Rockets?
Yeah, that's the coin flip.
I wanted to bring this up. I saw that last Warriors and Rockets game, and I feel like, did you see that Draymond Green foul did you see that Jalen Green foul on Draymond Green? He saw that.
I
and,
didn't catch it.
That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. But the game, Golden State Warriors did lose that game.
Obviously, the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry,
Yes,
who
sir, superstar.
Gilbert Arenas says is the best pound for pound player of all time.
I was going to go ahead and lead into that too.
So
Let's speak on
supposedly
that.
Gilbert Arenas said that.
Good way to lead in. He did say that. At first, he was saying that
I don't
he thought
even-
Curry
I don't
was a
even
light-skinned
know.
JJ Redick initially.
I don't know what that even means. Best pound for pound player.
Right.
He might just he think he just made that up just to say something and make it sound like
Sound like he's saying something. Look, in other words, Gil was trying to say that for what Steph's been given, he's not 6'8", he's not 6'7", 6'6", whatever. For his size and stature, he felt like he maximized that, probably the best, one of the best, if not the best. That's what he's trying. He maximized his talent. Let me see his words.
No, I think that
Trying to pull up what
Yeah.
Gil says. Arenas pinpoints that Steph maximized what he was blessed with. What sets Steph apart is not just his natural talent and skill on the court, but also his determination and perseverance to sharpen his game at every level. Let me find out. This is some news article. Sources say, right? Let me find out what Gil says. Pound for pound, he can argue he is the greatest pound for pound player that ever lived. Pound for pound, Arenas express. That's how I look at things. The gods. You're talking about the Wilts. You're talking about the Magics. You're talking about the Shaquille O'Neals, right? You're talking about the Michael Jordans, the LeBron Jameses, the Greek freaks, right? Y'all supposed to be great, right? You were born with the greatness. You were born with the advantage over everyone. The 3-time All-Star explained, you got to factor in that these are normal people compared to who they're going against. They're considered normal. And they really fought for everything they got. In other words, all these guys being a little bit taller, you know what I mean? Like, and Steph kind of being undersized.
Steph's game is a lot of it is his fundamentals, craftiness.
Right. Steph Curry, 4-time NBA champion, 2-time MVP, first unanimous MVP, Olympic gold medalist. List goes on.
Yeah.
List goes on.
He seems to have, his life is in order, with
Okay.
his, his family and all that stuff.
Okay.
compared to other NBA superstars. You know, some people criticize.
Not as much off-court drama, you think?
Yeah, not as much off-court drama.
Okay. Is Steph Curry in the top 10? Is he a top 10 ball player of all time NBA?
I'll say yes.
That's a big statement. That's a big statement. You would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a top 10? We probably mention this every episode. I don't want to go into that right now. I want to go into that.
Yeah.
Right now. Let's.
I don't really want to go all into that.
Let's leave that right there. There's a whole bunch I kind of want to speak on. We might not. We're at the 46-minute mark, by the way.
Call your shot on Warriors Rockets real quick.
Warriors, Rockets in 6.
I'm gonna say Rockets win. I don't know when.
Rockets win.
I'm gonna say Rockets win.
But I think the Warriors can steal 2 games. That's a Rockets W right there.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Lakers Timberwolves.
Lakers Timberwolves. I got the Lakers. I feel like obviously it's tied at 1-1 right now, right?
Right.
Yeah. The last game I saw, the Lakers took that W, and I'm gonna be honest. Anthony Edwards seemed like he was by himself offensively, and once again, obviously we know Cat was on that squad. Now he's a New York Knick, and it seems to me like the Lakers right now have a little bit more depth. I feel like they have more talent than the Timberwolves have. And most folks expect the Lakers to win. I wanted to speak on how Anthony Edwards was speaking on the Lakers being the the Minnesota Timberwolves being the underdog. And he was saying that, I don't even remember what he was saying, but he spoke on that. Do you feel the Timberwolves are an underdog in this series? Would you look at the Timberwolves as an underdog?
They are really,
okay,
because they're the lower seed and they are playing with home court disadvantage.
Okay.
And it's the Lakers.
Right.
You know, they get the favorable whistle.
LeBron
they have the best player.
Who's the best player?
Is Doncic.
All right. I was gonna see if you was gonna say LeBron. 31 points. And Austin. Let me see. LeBron James 21 points. Austin Reeves 16. Anthony Edwards 25. Julius Randle came up 27. Former Laker too. Julius Randle was a Laker. He played with Kobe at some point. Let's throw that in there. So that's pretty interesting. Julius Randle has seen. What are your thoughts on Julius Randle as a player? I wanted to touch on that because
he's a good player, but he's not
great.
Like, he's good if he's like your third best player in your team.
Right.
Like, you have a good team if he's like your third.
He's not the face.
He's not necessarily. He's like borderline all-star.
Right. I feel like Julius Randle has been in the league for a minute now, and he finally made that all-star appearance. I feel like Julius Randle was definitely still a solid player. I feel like if he's on your squad, that's a good thing. That's only going to make you a better squad. But he never reached that superstar status. Right? He reached that all-star status. He never reached that superstar status.
Right.
So I think he's a good player. I feel like speaking on that, I feel like the Timberwolves might need a little bit more help. I don't think Anthony Edwards is going to cut it. With the talent that's in the West right now, I don't think they're a roster that's championship caliber at this stage. That's my that's my stance. We got.
I agree.
Right. So
I think out of the West right now, the Thunder are gonna go. They look. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're the best team right now. They're destroying Memphis. Memphis has no chance.
They don't.
They're making them look like a
JV
like
squad
a rec squad.
Right.
The Nuggets are not okay. What?
Shout out to the Grizzlies though.
Like, Houston's not going to beat them.
Nope.
The Thunder have had that climb. Like, the NBA is a little bit of a climb to the top.
Right.
Like last year, the Thunder, they lost to, what was it? Dallas, I think. Was it Dallas? Yeah, it was Dallas.
And
they lost in the second round to Dallas.
Yep.
So they've had a little bit of that growing. They've had those growing pains.
Right.
So I could definitely see OKC going to the finals. Mm-hmm. I don't see Houston going. Who's the number 2 seed?
Are you sure on that second round last year? That's what I was trying to make.
They lost to Dallas.
Yeah,
because Minnesota beat Denver.
Right. Yeah.
The East is going to be trickier. Probably Boston.
That's what I was going to say. I think the Boston is going to come out the East. I was going to say that. Yeah, somebody had asked me that earlier.
They're healthy.
Yeah,
they're healthy.
The home skillet.
You know, the same team.
I got Boston out the East.
Cleveland, you know, it's like it's Cleveland, like.
Right. I don't see Boston. How are the Cavs? Where are the Cavs at right now?
Well, I believe the Cavs are number 1 seed. They're
right. Well,
they're beating Miami pretty well. But it's just the Cavs, and Boston has a little bit more of that veteran in
presence.
them.
I don't see if the Cavs make it out, I don't see them beating OKC or anything like that. So you got OKC in the finals?
Yeah, I'm gonna say OKC Boston at this point.
I'm gonna say Boston. I'm gonna say OKC Boston too. Honestly, I don't want to say what you said.
You gotta say. I gotta
say something different.
Say something.
I gotta say something different.
Say Knicks and.
I got Boston on the East. I said that. So as far as the West is concerned,
that's fine.
I do have Boston on the East. I want the Nuggets. I'm gonna say Nuggets in Boston, which is not gonna happen.
No, the Nuggets are not.
That's not.
I don't even know if the Nuggets are gonna get out of the first round.
I got the Nuggets beating the Clippers.
I don't feel confident in the Nuggets getting out of the first round.
I can't repeat what he said. I got the Celtics coming out the
You
East.
feel confident that Nuggets are going to get out of the first round?
Nah.
What makes you think they're going to go to the friggin' through the second and third round?
The Lakers are not going to the finals. They might go to the West Finals maybe, but they're not going to the finals.
Right.
If the Lakers go to the finals, I'm like, what kind of Illuminati stuff?
What is going on?
I'm not hating. I got to root for Denver though. We're at the 52-minute mark, by the way, and there's a lot more I wanted to touch on.
Like what?
Not even touch on it.
Like what?
There's not a lot more I wanted to touch on. There's a few things I wanted to touch on the Kanye drama, not this the Kanye Kendrick drama.
Go.
Kanye states.
Fill us in.
Ye thinks the music industry is trying to give Kendrick Lamar his spot. Look, man, when I was dropping Graduation, I had the whole building behind me too. That's the way the profession is. He wrote on now deleted tweet on X. He got 24 Grammys. They're strategically trying to erase what I did and earn with NI. You know what I want to say? They won't even be remembered. That won't even be remembered 100 years from now. I'm by far the most important artist of our lifetime. Everyone that works with the Super Bowl and Grammys can suck. I'm not even gonna repeat the next. Y'all can fill the blanks in. I'm gonna be honest. Is Kanye West full of himself when he says that? Is he full of himself in general? Most of us have an answer for that. I like Kanye West as an artist. But I like Kendrick too. You know what I mean? Obviously, what's your stance on Kanye specifically saying that he's the most important artist of our lifetime? What's that? Feel free to say what you feel in the comment section as well. That might not get no. Go ahead.
I mean, what does that even mean to be the most important artist? What is that even? That's a vague. I do believe Kanye is up there as far as influence.
Okay.
I think people we know, like AUBGD, shout out to AUBGD. They're big.
Shout out to you.
They love.
Bro,
they love
we're not
Kanye.
talking about that right now. This dude just totally changed the subject. Shout out to
what I'm getting
AUBGD. Shout out to my Alexis, my Jordans, all that. This dude just totally went off topic. Can we stay on topic right now?
I'm on topic.
Can we stay on topic right now? Go ahead.
What I'm saying is Kanye is highly, highly influential.
Okay.
Everybody, we see whatever. Like Darian wears Yeezys. Like we see Kanye everywhere.
The home skillet.
Kanye's on the radio. Young people love Kanye.
Right. I wanted to mention this. We're in the 20s. We're in the late 20s club right now, which is kind of old. 10 years ago, we was in the teenage 18, 17 junior senior club, right? Kind of like and I'm saying that for me to be the age that I am, graduation, late registration, college dropout, those projects came out when I was in elementary school. And Muggs younger than I am, were like literally babies, probably 3, 4, like baby babies. You know what I mean? When that came out. So at the peak of a lot of folks, I miss the old Kanye, chop up the soul, or whatever. You know what I mean? Those individuals weren't really all the way like they were younger than what I was when he was kind of like really began to take off. So I wonder what the guys 10 years my junior feel about him. Is it really a matter of Kendrick trying to replace him, or is it a matter of time is gonna speak? What's your thoughts on that? Or them trying to replace him? I mean.
Kanye and Kendrick are not comparable to me.
Right.
I think Kendrick Lamar is strictly a rapper.
I disagree.
Kanye is more of an artist that raps.
We know we got a Kanye fan in the building. I'm a Kanye. I like Kanye as an artist, but I like Kendrick too. And once again,
Kendrick Lamar is not a very strong artist.
Kendrick is a great artist in my mind, but why? Why do you say that?
Kendrick Lamar is not a strong artist because Kendrick Lamar is one-dimensional.
We got a crazy Kanye fan in the building. By the
Kendrick
way, this dude.
Kendrick Lamar cannot make his own beats. He does not make his own beats.
Okay.
He does not compose his own music.
Okay.
I mean, by compose, he writes his raps and he writes his songs.
Okay.
But Kanye West, when he makes his songs, when you think you're all of the lights, when you think you're name the hundreds of Kanye West songs that he
name them.
Whatever.
You can't coattails right now.
You can't tell me nothings. Your flashing lights.
Your Jesus walks.
The several.
Too excited about that.
The several levels.
Yeah.
He's been able to create.
I'm getting on my Kanye veil right now. I'm playing.
Whereas Kendrick Lamar, all he can seem to do is just write a verse.
I totally disagree, but I like the controversy on this. We're at the 57-minute mark. I don't know why I keep shouting that out.
Kanye West creates his own fashion. He creates his own beats. He creates his own songs.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that.
That isn't an artist. That is an artist.
Kendrick Lamar. Oh, you want to talk?
Kendrick Lamar has done nothing but write rap verses.
You want to talk? Hey, it's interesting he just made that.
He can't draw a picture.
It's interesting you just made that point because Kendrick just partnered with Chanel. He just partnered with Chanel.
Okay.
So it's interesting you talk the fashion thing when Kendrick Lamar is Chanel's latest brand ambassador. So that was perfect that you mentioned that. He always says something to get me to say something important.
So I think
that was you hitting on that.
I think Kendrick Lamar.
Thank you for riding Kanye's coattails.
Kendrick Lamar is overrated.
Here we go.
Is industry pushed.
Here we go. Let's simmer down a little bit. This is not a Kendrick bash. By the way, once again, this is why we like the dichotomy between having two voices on the subject, because what comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. What comes out of his mouth comes out of his mouth. I'm a Kendrick fan, so I don't want anybody to get angry. Kendrick is one of my favorite artists, and I feel that he is an artist, but I understand the gripes between the fact that
he's a broke man.
Kanye,
he's a poor artist.
Kanye came before him, and as I was saying, there's about a 10-year time gap in between those individuals as far as their prominence. Obviously, College Dropout dropped in 2004. Good Kid, Mad City, when Kendrick's first major debut, even though Section 80 is technically a debut album. His major mainstream debut was Good Kid, Mad City, and we know that's 2012, 2013. So there's about a 9 to 10 year gap.
Good Kid, Mad City was 2012,
right,
I believe.
Right. So there's about a good 9 to 10 year gap between when their first major projects began to take flight. But like I said, I wanted to bring up that Kendrick Lamar is Chanel's latest brand ambassador. The American musician is fronting the French fashion house's new spring.
What does that
Summer
even
25
mean?
Eyewear collection. Just
brand ambassador.
You say he's one dimensional, but I say that that's not the case because he's doing too much to be that. So shout out to Kendrick.
First of all, Kanye out-rapped Kendrick Lamar on the one song they have together.
Okay, name the song. You gotta do that.
No More Parties in L.A.
No More Parties in L.A.
Kanye said he rapped him. He did.
Okay.
I think it's By the way, when Kendrick Lamar raps, what is he talking about? It's just
I don't even listen
random.
to. I
It's
haven't
just
listened to his latest
random.
album.
Like,
Yeah, have you listened to his latest album?
no, I didn't
I
listen
haven't
to
listened to
it.
his
I don't
latest
want to listen to it.
Once again, I'm a Kendrick guy, but I'm a Kendrick
His
person.
music-
I like Kendrick as a rapper, but I don't listen to a lot of his new music because I don't listen to a lot of my favorite artists' new music. There's something about me and the first projects I received that I just like. Always like for me, Kendrick is Section 80, even though it didn't age that great. He's Good Kid, Mad City. He's Kendrick Lamar EP. And post to Pimp a Butterfly, I haven't really been checking for him like that. So I admit that. I still think he's one of my favorite artists because he's a great artist. But I am one of those guys that likes his older work a little bit better than his newer work. And I feel that way about Kanye too. So it's kind of like, I wasn't crazy about Yeezus. I haven't even listened to a lot of his new stuff. So I feel like they're comparable in that way, where like some of their first pieces were the pieces that really captured some of their fans. Me being a fan of both, I like their earlier work a little bit better than their newer work, which is not a gripe on their newer work. It's just my personal opinion on that.
So, like,
You know
what are we talking about here? Like, what was the original?
Well, the question was Kanye the greatest artist of our lifetime? That was the question.
That's
And I mentioned that we're at the hour mark. This might be hour 30, whatever.
yeah.
Kanye West, I always said, reminded me of the Kobe of rap. And I don't know why I always say that, but like I'm not gonna do my list on the ball players that relate directly to the rap artists. But for some reason, like some folks don't have him in the top 10. But every time we mention him, we're mentioning him with the Jordans, the LeBrons, the guys who are in the top 5, top 10. It's kind of the same with Kanye.
Like,
hold on.
Sorry.
Save it.
Okay.
I wanted to mention that Billboard has him number 11. And that's the spot a lot of guys be putting Kobe in. Like Kanye really should be top 10. Billboard has him at 11. And let me just read the top 10. I'm gonna go ahead and just read the top 10. This is gonna be controversial. I'm not even gonna read the top 10. But obviously the top 10 features the Jay-Z's.
Whoa. Okay, we're gonna
after
seeing this list, we might have to talk about it because this is the dumbest list I've ever seen.
This is the dumbest list ever. Let me go ahead and read this.
This might be the
Should I
worst
read
list
the
I've ever seen.
I'm not gonna read the list.
Don't.
Jay-Z is number 1. Kendrick is number 2. I'm gonna read the top 4. And Nas at number 3, and Pac at number 4, and Eminem at 5. I'll just throw that in there. Once again, I don't agree with this list, and this list is bogus. We're not even gonna speak on that. But what I wanted to say was, in Kanye's mind, he should be in the top 10, right? And so if he's the most important, he should be in the top 10. But Billboard has him at 11. And once again, Kobe reminds me of kind of like how he should be in the top 5. And he's mentioned skill-wise as arguably the best, right? But a lot of guys and a lot of NBA players, you'd be shocked, keep on putting him around that number 10, number 11, number 12 club. They got guys ahead of him. So, I feel like there's a similarity between Kobe and Kanye in that. So, yeah.
Well, as a rapper, he
Yeah.
has the most Grammys as a rapper.
Does he have the most Grammys?
Not that matters.
He mentioned Kendrick has 24. Let me now that you bring that up, I'm gonna go ahead and
I don't even
try to
know.
get
First of all,
official
Kendrick
list.
Lamar is not even number 1 on his own label, so I don't even know how we can.
You see, these lists aren't even up to date because
Kanye
Kendrick
has
just
24.
won 5 at the last Grammy Awards. That's why I don't like looking at these lists. These lists are off. Be careful with the internet. These lists are off because Kendrick is right there. Kendrick has over 22. He just won 5. He won at least 5 this last Grammy show, and he had like what, 17, 18 before that?
I don't know.
Kendrick has at least 22 Grammys. So Kendrick is in the top 4, top 3 most Grammys. And I'm not getting an official list because the internet is tripping right now. Can you find an official list? Since we spoke on it, kind of wanted to mention. I don't know why they can't get an official list. Kendrick Lamar, allegedly, according to Wikipedia, bad source, has 22 Grammys. Kanye has 24. Jay-Z has 24. There you go. That's your top 3 right there, I think, of rappers. So that's interesting that he's right up there with them. What do you think about that?
Well, I just think Kendrick Lamar is totally industry pushed. I don't think his music is good. I think that the labels.
Were you ever a Kendrick fan?
I think to an extent I am a Kendrick fan, but
okay.
Kendrick Lamar has songs I like.
Okay.
But I just don't think his music is actually good. I think that the radio forces it.
Okay.
I don't think anybody actually like his new music is not the people are not choosing his music.
Not like us?
I think that's one of the worst rap songs ever made. I think it's poorly produced, poorly written. I think it's annoying. Maybe that's just me. I'm just annoyed with it.
Okay.
But I just think the beat is horrible. I'm not a fan of it.
I don't want to end.
It sounds like nails on a chalkboard.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to mention. Should we go on off subject? Not Like Us was once again probably heard it way too much. But when it was hot, I liked it. Russell Westbrook liked it, right? Nah.
It's the worst rap song ever made.
Here we go. Hold on. I wanted to mention
Kendrick Lamar, because he made that song,
the Kevin
has
Gates
lost all
credibility. Stop.
Has lost everything.
So I want to stay on this hip hop for a minute. Who's on your juggernaut list? So do you have a juggernaut list right now for hip hop right now? Give me your top 3 hip hop artists right now. Or is that you could decline? I'm
gonna decline. I'm not really tuned in that much.
I'm not tuned in that much either these days. So like it's once again
it seems like everyone is like, from what I hear when I turn on the radio, they're playing a lot of Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
But I don't think that's because people want to listen to him. I think the radio just is like, oh, Kendrick Lamar is safe. He's pushed. Absolutely pushed.
He's pushed now.
He is.
He's definitely pushed now.
You can't tell me that someone that's being played in the Super Bowl, that just drops an album and 5 of his songs in the album were just, of course, just coincidentally on the radio at the same time.
Okay.
His music is not good. It's pushed. It sounds like a commercial.
Right. Okay. Once again, almost.
I can't think of the last time someone said, "I want to listen to Kendrick Lamar."
Okay. Yeah. Well, we ranting now. We ranting now. Let me get back let me get back on some drama real quick. I don't want to do this. Kevin Gates, Savannah James, LeBron statement. The internet has heard that. I don't know what I want to say on that, but do you have anything to say on that?
I really don't.
Obviously, Kevin Gates showed up at the game. We all probably heard what he said.
So he said he doesn't like the way Savannah looks at
LeBron
versus the way white women look at LeBron.
He said that.
I mean, I think it's silly.
Okay.
Because LeBron and Savannah have had a thing, whatever the fuck's going on. They've been together for however long.
Right, since he was in high school.
Savannah, she's not just going to be looking at him the way random courtside.
That's a great point.
Like when you're with it doesn't matter how, like, you're just with someone for so long.
Right. We all heard what Kevin Gates stated, and I feel like he might make a little bit of a point, but the thing about it is, I don't really feel like I don't want to say anything. This is TMZ. This is toxic type drama type stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is that
and who is Kevin Gates?
Right.
Who is Kevin Gates?
Now,
name 3 Kevin Gates
What I really
songs.
wanted to go in, obviously we saw that Kevin Gates showed up at the game after the statement was made. The internet already knows what's going on with that. I didn't really want to touch on the entire subject, But I wanted to kind of touch on this. I thought this was kind of funny. So Kevin Gates shows up at the game, and a lot of individuals online who have these little YouTube channels are trying to say, like, why didn't he step to Kevin Gates the way he stepped to Stephen A. Smith? I want to throw that little monkey wrench in there. Do you feel that are they making a point with that? Or like, and my second question was that maybe my third question. Kevin Gates said he wouldn't want to trade places with LeBron. And once again, like, come on. Let me just leave that where that's at. Like, come on, he's his own person, right? So it's not just about money and stature, all that. So yeah, the internet is talking about these questions. So I just kind of wanted to throw a little monkey riches in there. Do you feel, what's your stance on LeBron not really, did he say anything to Kevin Gates at the game? Did you see that?
No.
Right. So do you think people are just crazy for bringing up the Stephen A. Smith thing as far as like LeBron states, as far as folks are saying, why didn't he step to Kevin Gates like that? Why would he? You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a little bit more of a direct correlation, whereas Stephen A., they're both in the same like field. Like they're always
right.
Like Kevin Gates is just, who is Kevin Gates? Like
right. You know,
I don't think LeBron really looks at him as.
Just touching on that briefly.
What were your thoughts? Like,
thoughts.
You think Kevin Gates is on to something, or you think he's just talking shit?
I feel like it's his opinion. He said it. Once again, the internet's going ablaze for his comments. Some folks are saying he makes a point. Some folks are saying he doesn't. I want to leave that where that's at because I wanted to bring up because we want to talk about some things a little controversial. But I'm feeling like this is a little too not politically correct. So I want to leave that alone. Okay. I want to leave that alone. So we're going to move on from that statement. I wanted to I didn't want to get too dark with this. We're at the 110 mark, and the Nuggets game is about to come on, really. So I'm going to try to close this out soon. We're at the 110 mark. The suicide rate in America has skyrocketed.
Go.
And this is big. I think we have the highest suicide rate right now of all time, is what they're trying to say. I don't know the stats, but like the suicide rate is skyrocketing. I just wanted to, it's just, that's something to speak on. So I'm just like, okay. Do you have any statements on that?
Well, let me just suicide rate. I mean,
I don't know if it's in America or worldwide.
Who knows what the statistics are?
Right.
But just speaking from my personal experience and from what I kind of see, it seems to me like a lot of young folks kind of like are lacking direction, kind of just floating around.
Yep.
I would even say
like me.
Like me.
No.
So when you have that lack of direction, when you get lost and you don't want to deal with it. So
I didn't want to go too controversial, I guess, but once again, we young in the podcast game. Who knows if I even want to continue? This is probably like the 7th day. Let me get on track. The U.S. suicide rate reached its highest point in more than 80 years. And that's a stretch right there. The suicide rate among Americans, which has risen steadily over the past 18 years, has reached its highest point since 1941. Preliminary data for 2022 shows. The suicide rate per 100,000 people in 2022 was, this might be an old article, but once again, they're saying the numbers are getting higher and higher.
I'll ask a little bit of a hard question.
I don't know if
it's a personal question.
Nah, if it's personal to me,
it's personal to you.
Nah, I'm dodge that.
All right.
Because I kind of want to get the viewers involved and put in the comment section what they think. Obviously, we're hearing a lot about the tariff situation. We're hearing a lot about politics and cost of living. Everybody claiming that poverty is the new normal now, and that's a whole nother episode. My stance on, once again, this is a big topic. I just kind of wanted to throw this out there because it's getting to a level now. In 2024, the United States saw a troubling resurgence in suicide rates, reaching levels unseen since 1941. Just mention that. According to a report from U.S. News, the national age-adjusted suicide rate climbed to 14.7 per 100,000 people, and increased from 14.2 in 2022. The statistics reflect a staggering 30% rise over the past 20 years, underscoring a deeply rooted mental health crisis. The total number of suicide deaths in 2024 exceeded 49,300, continuing an upward trend that has concerned public health experts across the country. And I'm not even going to read this. I just throw in little articles every now and then.
What makes you just bring this up? It just popped out to you?
I saw another video on it. So I'm like, let's go ahead and bring that up.
So who's killing themselves? Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know the age group. So you immediately were saying young folks, and I'm like, I don't know the age group exactly. So I wanted to kind of make sure.
Have you is there
middle-aged adults 35 to 54, elderly individuals and American Indian/Alaska Native population show the highest suicide rates across demographic groups, pointing to systemic gaps in care and support. Youth suicide attempts are rising sharply, especially among teen girls and marginalized groups, with 10% of high school students reporting attempts and 13% of females affected. Key drivers include trauma, loneliness, economic hardship, substance abuse, and a broken mental health system. Issues that require both healthcare reform and broader societal change. Society, obviously this is something we're probably going to speak on and we're probably going to see more on since the statistics are rising up. So I just want to throw that I just want to throw that in there. Ain't going to be too large of a topic. I don't want to say anything disrespectful. But once again, we see that we're confronted with some things. But once again, life is life, and I feel is it?
What is?
I guess life is life. I don't want to say anything negative, but I feel like that is a problem now. And since it's on the rise, I wanted to kind of mention
So if a young person, let's just say, comes to you and just says,
we're at the 117 mark.
I want to die. What do you do? What do you tell him?
I would bring up something religious and try to.
So you would go.
I don't know what to say. That's a scary question. I would try to go past the mode on him.
Well, that's a scary question. Let's have the talk, because let's be real. Let's keep it short. There's been a passing of the torch over the past years.
Elaborate.
You are almost 30. I am almost 30 years old. It's starting to get to a point where young folks are going to start looking up to folks like you and I.
That's a major point that you just made.
So
that's a great question.
You got to we got to start having this conversation. We got to start.
Not like me, probably, but go ahead.
It's time. It's time to start stepping up and being almost that kind of like lodestar of
that figure.
That figure.
That
pillar of light. Because let's be honest,
I rock with that.
We're grown men.
Almost.
You could already.
We're getting there.
It's time to start stepping up and going and stepping into that role.
You're
of almost like a leadership role, almost like a big brother role, if you want us to call it.
I rock with that.
It's time to start stepping into that role.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Nah. You're hitting on some things, and I appreciate that because I feel like that's motivational. But I feel like obviously, once again, I was mentioning earlier that we're not in the 18 club anymore. We in the 10-year.
It doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't feel like that though. It's almost like life is past.
It's almost like
I'm still
you're
an advanced 17-year-old.
You're a 28-year-old, 18-year-old.
Right. Society, we ain't
the
as
way
hard as we once used to be.
Right.
And so it's like kind of like kids our age are still like kids. You know what I mean? We're trying to be men. We're trying to be young adults. But once again, this is a subject we're going to be touching on. Not we necessarily, but that society's touching on. But I like how you said that it's kind of like the passing of the torch.
Right.
We really do kind of need folks our age step into positions of leadership.
Right.
And I had a family member ask me a question on that. Like if I was interested in some governmental type stuff. But once again,
what do you mean? Like political?
She was saying something about politics or something.
So you're about to
step in politics? She might even watch this podcast. I might even send that person the link. I'm not going to say no names, but I'm just more or less saying that.
Put on the suit.
That's my thing.
Walk into state capitol. and just start
as a non-college educated individual.
and just say this is what needs to happen.
But once again, leadership positions do need to start being filled up by young folks. I'm not saying me. I'm not saying you. I'm saying somebody young has to be in some form of an organized form of leadership. That needs to happen. It needs to happen. Would you agree on that? Or I'm not saying it has to be politically driven. It has some crazy religious nutcase type stuff. I'm just saying, like, we need to start seeing a little bit more of a togetherness, I believe. I feel like that dichotomy is missing in today's day and time. So I feel like,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit too much of an emphasis on the individual.
Yeah.
There needs to be somewhat more of a collective
consciousness, group orientedness.
Like I believe
whatever.
that the individual is extremely important, but you still got to have that nationality, the thing that brings everyone together. You need to have the individual, but you need to have the thing that brings the individuals together.
Right.
What are you looking at? It looks like what's the quote of the day?
I just pulled up a quote of the day. I just typed in quote of the day.
I'm gonna say my quote of the day.
Go ahead.
My quote of the day is what I was talking about earlier.
Go ahead.
And that is, the devil often lurks behind the cross.
Okay. Wow. Here's the problem with these quotes
I
of the
did
day.
not make that quote up.
We don't even know.
What is your quote of the day?
I just typed in quote of the day. Should I just read this?
Come on. What's the quote of the day? What if thematically we've been talking about?
We've been talking about sinners.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking the movie literally. I don't know if I want to bring up some Bible stuff, but like,
do it.
Because I was trying to stray away from the scripture talk because once again,
why?
Why
not?
My
why are we
elder,
trying to stray away from it? Let's go into it.
One of my elders.
Okay.
And I mean elder respect.
We don't need to bring up. We don't need to say names.
We're not gonna say no names. One of my elders, and this is a male elder, respectively, mentioned that I shouldn't talk too much about the religious side of the coin because this is not really a Christian channel. It's not really a religious-based channel.
No, it's not. But that doesn't mean we can't talk scripture.
But once again, I am a person who reads the Bible, and I do kind of somewhat, right? And I do kind of read anything involving kind of like, spirituality and whatnot. But once again, I believe in a supreme power and I believe in a supreme being. I'm not going to get all into the crazy stuff right now. Quote of the day. I'm going to go ahead and just read this quote. And this is allegedly a Ray Charles quote. And this is random. I don't even know if I want to read this.
So you just
Googled
this and was like,
I just Googled quote of the day. Just to see what would pop up. Don't do that.
Nah.
Don't do that. Okay.
You can't just Google quote of the day and then pick the first one. You gotta.
Yeah. What quote's been on my mind? We already did that last podcast, honestly, that I have not even put up. Because once again, we floating in the air. What is a quote that I wanna? Hold on, let me
see. We gotta have the stuff ready to go.
We do. Easter quotes. There's some scriptures. Easter quotes. I don't know. Easter was
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the quote of the day.
What?
The devil lurks behind the cross.
The devil lurks behind the cross?
Often.
That's not my quote. Nah, that's quote of the day. All right. We'll leave that where that's
You got
at.
a better one?
Nah, it ain't a matter of what's better or not. I'm gonna go, we can leave that. 25 scriptures. So we totally went off tangent. And these things shouldn't even be this long. We kind of talked about sinners for like a long time. There's a verse that I wanted to read, but should we kind of go off on the tangent on maybe another 10 minutes? About to watch this Nugget game soon.
Prediction for the night's game, real quick.
I'm gonna go Nuggets.
What's the score?
I don't want to say a score.
I'm gonna say Clippers 115, Nuggets 111. Actually, hold on.
It's gonna be quote. It's gonna be close, but I got the Nuggets taking the W. We might as well just go ahead and close this out.
You know what? I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna say Nuggets 115, Clippers 113.
Okay.
Higher scoring.
I don't know if I mentioned this last podcast or not, but Harden did say, I want to touch on this. Get back to some NBA a little bit. James Harden, says Jokic is the best player, but we as players want to see SGA win MVP. I felt that was very interesting because he's saying that Jokic is the best player in the league, in the world, whatever. But he's saying that as players, as an NBA collective and individuals, they players a lot, want to see SGA win. What do you think about that? That's saying
to
something
win
in my mind. MVP,
a fourth MVP.
No, they want SGA to win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We also got to come and like. It's like the next MVP is always the hardest MVP to get. Like Jokic already has 3.
Yeah.
For him to get a 4th MVP, he has to go to an extreme level. 4 MVP winners. Who are some 4 MVP winners? LeBron, like
we already talked about this one episode.
So
hold on.
People, the NBA voter fatigue is real.
That we ain't even put out.
They're giving it to a guy that, first of all, doesn't really care about the MVP.
Yo, hold on. Go ahead.
Second of all, doesn't really have the look of what the NBA wants. He's not in the fashion show. He's not in the commercials. He's not in the star life.
Right. Oh, he's
not in a super hot. He's in Denver. He's in a flyover.
He's not in a crazy big market, I guess.
He's not in the biggest market.
Like the Knicks,
Thunder, Oklahoma City is not exactly that either. But
so we got Kareem at 6. We mentioned this.
Kareem has 6 MVPs.
He has 6 MVPs.
Jordan has 6 MVPs.
We got Bill Russell with 5. We got Jordan with 5.
Oh, it's 5.
He got his 6 rings.
6
but
rings.
I guess saying he has 5 MVPs.
Jordan has Defensive Player of the Year award.
He does.
Keep that in mind.
We got Wilt with 4. We got LeBron with 4. We mentioned that. And
they were all on Cleveland and Miami.
Damn. Yeah. That list cut off with LeBron, but those are the names. And I think Magic has 3.
Let's be honest. Jokic is not on that list yet.
Magic has 3. He's not on that list as far as dominance?
No. He hasn't earned it yet.
You see, that's interesting that you're saying that because you were talking about he's replaced half the lists on the top 10. You was almost saying that. Is Jokic a top 10 player in the league?
In the league?
Obviously. Is he a top 10 player all time? Magic has 3. I'll throw that out there. Because, Jokic has 3 right now.
I'm not going to go there because
there's probably another.
Jokic for me.
Is he top 15?
I'll say he's top 15.
Okay, we were debating this. The question was that Kawhi Leonard, is he top 15? And I was like, he might be top 15 or top 20. And then I was like, the question was he better than Jokic? And I was saying, I think he's greater than Jokic. 2-time champ, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm like, right now, Kawhi might be greater than Jokic.
But what is it? What is it about that?
What is it about Kawhi?
It's that durability factor. Okay. He kind of struck lightning in a bottle when he did play.
Kawhi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when he did play, he was all time great. But when he went, but he never plays.
Right. So, like obviously he played with the Timmy D and we shout out to Ginobili, shout out to Tony Park, respectively. Obviously Greg Popovich.
Well, he was a part of that great.
He was part of that
all
group
time. He got the last bit of that great Spurs.
He did win Finals MVP when they
twice.
played.
I believe it was
Miami
twice.
And he also won Finals MVP as a Toronto Raptor against who?
The Warriors.
Against the Warriors. And he's, once again, Kawhi is a 2-time champion and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. So that resume might right now be above Jokic's resume. And that's a crazy statement. So if Jokic is a top 15 player, Kawhi has to be top 20.
We might be inflating Jokic because of this recency bias.
Right.
We've all seen Jokic's greatness within the last couple of years, and we're seeing it now in real time, and we're like, oh, we're all time. Like,
right.
But for me, what gets Jokic a little bit over the edge is that he's done all of this on probably one of the most miserable franchises.
Right.
And Kawhi did it too with Toronto. Like when you win a championship on a sorry franchise like a Toronto, like a Denver, even LeBron on a Cleveland.
Here we go. Respect to those franchises.
And you got to think Jordan did all that on what was a miserable franchise.
Right.
6 times.
Right. But once again, kind of a different subject a little bit. Not really.
Like winning a championship on the Lakers is like, okay, like their story,
Lakers.
that's just what they do.
Celtics as
like,
well, right?
It's not as impressive.
2-time NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, 4-time All-Star. But once again, this is Kawhi I'm reading right now. I don't know if he's greater than Jokic, but really he should be. You know what I mean? It's like, if Jokic is top 20, Kawhi has to be top 20. I don't know. I got Jokic on my top 25, top 15. Jokic is climbing up.
I think
he's not in my top 10 yet, but he's getting
Kawhi.
Close.
What Jokic does is it's kind of a 1-on-1 with his triple doubles.
Okay.
In the stats. The stats are crazier. Offensive stats are crazier.
Right.
Kawhi just kind of, drops 25 and gets 2 steals and
right.
Therefore, and we're just calling him top 20. Jokic gets 2 steals a game too.
Right. I wanted to speak on this a little bit. This is KD and where he goes. Allegedly, Vernon Maxwell was saying KD should go to Houston or something like he was mentioning. And I'm like, they just need a guy who demands a double team, as was Vernon Maxwell's statement. At this stage in the game, I don't care what happens to KD. And that's kind of where I'm driving my point.
Don't you think
KD's a great player?
Don't
He's
you
an
think
exceptional
it's time?
talent. But it's time for KD.
Don't you think it's time?
What? What you talking about?
Kawhi, KD.
Oh, leave?
Steph, LeBron.
Oh, no, you tripping. Kawhi has showed you with that 39 points last game. He's here for them NBA contracts. That's what he showed you, right?
It's time for these old guys to move on.
I'm gonna be honest though. I don't really care what happens to KD, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this. KD's a great player, and I roast KD every podcast, and I really don't know why. I like Kevin Durant as a player. I think he's a great player, one of the best in when me being a teenager to adult, and KD is a 3-time scoring champion, 2-time MVP, 2-time
I think
Finals
he's just
MVP.
a 1-time scoring champion. Am I wrong?
You're
on that?
smoking weed. He has 3. He has 3 times. He has 3 at least. He at least has 3. You're smoking with the 1-time scoring champion. Kevin Durant has at least 3 scoring titles.
Why do I think it's just 1?
That's Melo. Melo just has 1. Just to name somebody with 1. But KD has more than 1.
Oh, 4-time scoring champion.
4-time?
Yeah.
Wow. You see, that's what I was saying.
He has the 1 MVP.
2-time Finals MVP. Where's I don't know why these stats aren't pulling up as good today. Like, it's crazy. Hold on. How many? So you said he has 4?
4.
Okay. Yeah, he got 1, 2, 3. You sure he has 4? Oh yeah, he got 13 through 14, 11 through 12, 10 through 11, 9 through 10. Yup. I knew he had at least 3. All with OKC. Yeah, Kevin Durant's definitely a prolific offensive talent, one of the best we've seen in history. He did pass Melo, and I said that on a previous episode that I never put out. But he did pass Melo, so he's in the top 10 club now, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I know this one's gonna piss you off.
Go ahead.
Melo or KD?
I'm going Melo, dude. Offensive talent, I'm going Melo. And everybody is going to call me, yo, he's smoking. Look, I think KD might be a better individual. KD's arguably, he's a better free throw shooter. I'll give you that.
Okay.
He has probably a little bit more moves in his repertoire. But Melo, he's taller. KD is taller. Melo, a little bit more muscle girth. You know, a little. Yeah. He's shorter, but a little more muscle tone. I like Melo's game better than KD's. Like when the eye test tells me KD might drop 30, Melo might drop 28. You know, but like the eye test tells me Melo is Melo at his peak in my mind. I'm taking Melo. I'm sorry. The eye test tells me Carmelo Anthony. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I love KD though. Now I wanted to bring this up. And we might close out with this. Who you, Melo or KD? That's not what we're closing
Something's
out with.
telling me Melo.
Okay.
Even though like KD has the stats, better
Right.
stats, and the 2 rings on Golden State.
Right. Let me bring this all the time, and I do this every episode. Let me mention the top 10 scoring.
I think I'm
groups.
taking KD over LeBron though.
So Melo's better than LeBron. Look,
Yeah.
top 10 scores.
Yeah.
Top 10 scores.
Melo's better than LeBron.
We got LeBron 1, Kareem 2, Karl Malone 3, Kobe Bean 4, MJ at 5, Dirk at 6, Wilt at 7, KD at 8, Shaq at 9, and Melo right at 10 is what this list is showing. And let's go ahead and, since we're talking about KD, he has 30,571 on this list. It's around there. It might be higher than that by now, whatever, right? Melo at 28,289 as far as regular season, I believe. But once again, that's a solid list right there. Everybody on that list is crazy. But T-Mac was recently asked, and hope maybe I could just pick this up. He said somebody had asked him, is it about some players? Let me see if I can pick this up. Forgive all the dragging along. Hoping I can just pick this up, because I kind of wanted to see what your reaction on this was. Nonetheless, they asked Tracy McGrady. Here we go.
Win 1v1 in their prize. Steph Curry or Allen Iverson?
So we got Steph Curry or AI. They asked T-Mac these questions. I'm gonna ask you these questions. We're probably gonna close out on this. Curry or AI, 1-on-1. I'm gonna ask you all 5 or all whatever.
I never really watched AI.
Okay.
I watched Steph. 1-on-1.
1-on-1.
I'm gonna say AI
I'm taking AI too.
because I remember Kobe saying how hard AI was to guard.
Right.
Seeing the guys only like not even 6 foot.
Right.
He just had that I don't know, backyard street-esque to him. Like
Right.
Steph feels a little more robotic to me. AI has a little bit more of that. Like he just, I don't know. He just seems like he plays basketball like an art form more than.
I would say that
Steph's more of like a robot.
I would say damn near the very opposite of what you're saying. I got AI on 1-on-1 because I just think at its peak, AI strikes more fear in me than Curry. Even though Curry's a better 3-point shooter, AI just keeps coming at you, and he's like a demon.
It's like
you know what I mean?
Steph is.
I'm gonna take AI.
Steph is a better shooter.
He's a better ball handler too, I think.
Steph is, but just AI just
AI
does it better. Like he just
AI's offensive package might be considered a little bit more feared. For example, AI himself said Kyrie and Steph can dribble better than him, right? So that's his word. I think
I'm going AI.
I'm gonna go AI
if
score. Yes,
AI Steph 1-on-1.
AI.
They're playing 1-on-1
I got AI
at Lowry or wherever.
Nah, at the Rucker. We got AI.
If they're playing going to 7, I'm taking AI.
I got AI. Yeah, guess who T-Mac says? No, T-Mac says Steph. We're not even going to do that guess game because we're about to close out.
Okay.
I gotta go with shooting, man. Shooting trumps everything.
So we got T-Mac took Steph. We're going to follow this video for a minute. Now we got Curry or Rose. I'm going Rose. This is random. I'm asking you everything that this dude asked T-Mac, I'm asking you. Because we're going to close out on this. We're going to close out on this. Go ahead. 1-on-1, Curry or Rose.
I mean, I think I'm going to go Curry on this one because I think Rose a little more physical.
Right.
Rose a little bit.
If you let Rose in the paint, he dunking on. He might get a couple dunks on Curry.
I think I'm going to say
Curry's better ball handler.
Rose is just more.
He's a better shooter.
More reliant on his athleticism. I feel like Steph a little more on his fundamentals.
I respect that. I'm gonna go Rose on that.
I mean, Rose just had that one great year. I feel like, and after that, just kind of was like
that's a toss.
He was good, but
I might go Curry on that. I'm gonna go Curry on that. T-Mac said Rose. I initially said Rose. if they played 10 games, Curry's getting at least 4, right? Rose might get, because of his muscles and all that, might get 6 or 5. Like, that can go either way, honestly. I'm going to take a drink on that one, actually. Nah. Here we go.
Explosive player. Derrick Rose or Carmelo Anthony? Melos.
Melo or Rose? T-Mac said
Melo.
Melo. I'm going Melo too. I feel like with his size and stature, I feel like Melo can kind of bully Rose. I'm gonna go Melo on that too. D Rose was a monster though.
Okay, yeah, we're stepping up the size here. We want to get to the big boys. This is a go.
Melo or James Harden?
Melo.
I'm going Melo too.
Maybe I'm thinking about this too much. Don't you feel like Harden, Steph, they can only do like one thing really good?
They're kind of one-dimensional a little bit. They were criticized. Steph's been criticized for being one-dimensional. I've
Like,
always
Steph is
talked
like-
about Harden being a little bit like
Step
back.
Let's think about this. Harden, it feels like he
Steph
does
is
he
a
does
great-
he does
both
a,
of them are
he
great
does a
players,
step
though.
back 3 thing
Steph's better.
and then dribbles to the hole.
Right.
Like I just feel like Melo and AI and these older
They got
guys,
more moves in their repertoire.
They got it just seems like they have more.
Their bag
they
is
play,
deeper.
They have like more of an art form to it.
I agree. I'm going Melo over Harden. Who did Yeah. So T-Mac said Melo too. Last question. Because I know you like T-Mac. Carmelo Anthony or T-Mac one-on-one. Tracy McGrady. Which one? Both like 6'8".
I'm gonna say T-Mac.
You're gonna say T-Mac?
Something's telling me T-Mac.
He's more athletic, I believe.
Something's telling
at his
me.
height,
Something's
he was.
telling me T-Mac.
Melo is a monster, and this is what's scary about it. T-Mac is kind of like Kobe himself said T-Mac and AI were his like toughest players to guard. But he also mentioned Kevin Durant later in his career. He also mentioned Melo a couple times too. But like, so it's like when you look at Melo, T-Mac, and KD, they're both like the small forward archetypes. Like, you know what I mean? They're both in that. All 3 of them are kind of in that arena where like they're 6'8" plus guys who can drop 30 on you at any given moment. So like you really don't lose either way. I think T-Mac might have been a little bit more explosive. I might go T-Mac. And once again, we already heard how I feel about Melo. That's my dude.
Let's put a bow on this.
Yeah, we gonna close
Let's put a bow on it.
So, yep.
Nuggets are about to get going.
Yep. They already started. I think.
T-Mac is better than LeBron. And
Stop.
What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, I didn't have no quote of the day, and I'm mad about that. I wanted to end on a positive quote. That's my thing. But yeah, let me find me a quote of the day real quick.
Go.
Let me find me a quote of the day. And I might just try to end it on some like positive. Who knows? Maybe a basketball legend. Who knows, bro? Allegedly, this is a Magic Johnson quote. I like this. This is just a random Magic Johnson quote. It's random. But since we're still in the hoop thing, in life, winning and losing will both happen. What is never acceptable is quitting. Allegedly, that's a Magic Johnson quote. I like it. We're going to close out on that. We talked about sinners, talked about, and I want to further elaborate on that later on. I want to watch it a second time, not in theaters. But shout out to all the actors that played on that. We're probably not going to name everybody one by one. That was a dope movie in my mind. If it's a mad test, it passes. So, yeah, we're going to close out. Uncoated Sugar, any final thoughts? I'm going to try to shorten this. This was too long. But I feel like we're getting a little bit better.
About to tune in the Nuggets game. And, yep.
Have a good night. Whenever y'all see this, or have a good day, whatever. But it's nighttime right now. Peace.
Yep.
Have a good night.